Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Live Album War. Today we got a good one. Two hard rock guitar players, two legends, and who other than to have in the guest host chair than my good friend, Mr. Jeff Young, who's joining us live on location from Dayton, Ohio. JY, welcome again to the show. How are you doing?
To the boom, everybody, to the joia. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. Don't know why I'm talking Brazilian Portuguese to you, but Pete's got another rude album war for us right now. It's a brutal battle.
When Jeff says rude, he usually means God, why did you pick this one for me, dude? But I just had to. So
I mean rude in the best possible worst possible way. Like, this is two great artists.
It's tough, right?
How are we supposed to pick between the two?
That's tough. You know, these wars are not supposed to be easy. And we got a lot of viewers who are like, oh my God, that's not fair. It's like, life ain't fair. Sometimes we got to make hard choices here. You know, it's like, even when it comes down to music, I mean, this is all supposed to be fun anyway, but we're just trying to pick your favorite live album of all time, right? So, all right. So we got today from 1974, Leslie Weston Mountain, Twin Peaks. All right.
Woo!
All right, so that's this album up on the top here, my 2-on-1 BGO release, and the
David
other.
Lynch produced that album.
Who? David Lynch?
Lynch.
I don't know. Did he? It's possible. It's possible.
David Lynch fans will get that.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Twin Peaks. All right, I get what you're talking about. Sorry, I was taking you literally. Felix Pappalardi produced that.
I'm not talking about Eraserhead.
And on the other end of the ring today, Frank Marino Mahogany Rush. Live, or as Frank himself told me yesterday, he calls this the Black Live album because it's black. I heard it. That's what the man said. I don't know. You know, to me, it's always
just call that album God Live.
So let me talk a little bit about the Mountain, and I'm going to hand it over to Jeff to talk about the Frank Marino album. So Twin Peaks was recorded in Osaka, Japan, on their actually on August 30th, 1973, Leslie, Felix Pappalardi and company. It's a pretty bruising live album. It's got really basically all the best Mountain tracks from those classic Mountain albums. You know, Never in My Life, Theme from an Imaginary Western, Blood of the Sun, nice Leslie guitar solo. You got Nantucket Sleigh Ride, which is like epic multi, 20 minutes or whatever, or longer. Crossroader, Mississippi Queen, got to have Mississippi Queen, Silver Paper, and Roll Over Beethoven. So 10 tracks, not a lot of tracks for a double live album, but again, a few lengthy jams on here, which is pretty cool. But I like how they picked out some of the best and heaviest tracks from, Mountain Climbing, the Leslie West Mountain album, which was actually his first solo album, but technically, for my money, the first Mountain album, as well as, Nantucket Sleigh Ride and all that kind of stuff. Just for my money, a really good, really well-sounding live album that captures the power that was Mountain at that point in time in the early 70s. The band would last a couple more years and then break up, get back together again, break up, get back together again. Felix, we lost Felix Pappalardi, obviously. Leslie and Corky would have different versions of Mountain. Jeff and I both were talking before we went on air how we both have seen Mountain in one form or another numerous times throughout the years. But I think a pretty potent live album. I dig it a lot. Jeff, Frank Marino. What do you got to say about Frank Marino? Yeah, exactly.
Listen to Pete's interview and share with all your friends. And it's odd that, right on the back of the last episode where we talked about the Robin Trower live, same buddy here in Dayton, Tim Sutton, turned me on to, I guess he liked the Jimi Hendrix aficionados. He turned me on to the Robin Trower live album and the Frank Marino live album, I think in the same day.
That's a pretty good guy right there.
That's a good friend to have.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He had my back too when we were front row on the Song Remains the Same tour, and the people, like right when Zeppelin came out on Rock and Roll, people all pushing, we were front row, he was hanging on the stage, and he's like a middle linebacker, so he served us well. And many concerts we saw, including Frank Marino, I think on this album tour.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's crazy.
I've got to see Frank a couple times back in that era. I haven't got to see him more recently because he hasn't been touring working on his new live opus. But this album has been one of my top 10 guitar player live albums of all time forever. And again, so sad it's only a single.
Yeah.
But which songs are the best on this album? All of them.
I was just gonna say that. It's like, how do you pick out any favorites? I mean, I don't know. For me, the answer is like
Dreams, people.
Strange Dreams indeed. Man, the answer is great. Dragonfly is great.
Amazing. Amazeballs. Johnny Be Good.
The covers are fantastic, right? Johnny Be Good is killer. Purple Haze is killer. Electric Reflections of War, A New Rock and Roll, I'm a King Bee. I mean, Jesus, it's like Backdoor Man. And
I found a new love for Purple Haze recently, as you know, Pete. And,
yeah, I know, exactly.
Frank, again, like Trower, two cats from that, from that lineage, the Hendrix lineage, but both definitely not clones in any way, shape, or form. They enjoyed the influence of Hendrix, but they found their own voice.
Well said. Yeah.
Each in their own direction. And Frank's just, and now that I've seen his new live DVD, some of these great guitar players that we've known and loved our whole life, maybe we can not listen to them for a while and take them for granted a little bit. Then you watch this brand new live at the Agora and you go, okay, this guy's as relevant today. And that album should win a Grammy. You guys were talking about Grammy.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool that he said that he'd want to win it for editing, for sound, for the audio of it.
That's how humble a guy he is, So.
But let's not sneeze at the audio quality on the Black Marino.
No, it's fantastic.
Outing.
It's fantastic. And one of the things that Frank said to me last night when we were talking is that when you listen to the Frank Marino Mahogany Rush live album from '78, it sounds like it's played at a big stadium or arena, right? It's got that power to it. And whereas if you listen to or watch the DVD, you feel like you're on stage with Frank and the band in an intimate little theater, which is the vibe he wanted to go for.
Kind of where Frank's standing. It's how he hears it from like what would be the star on the stage where the singer goes to stand.
Yep, exactly. So I want to circle back to a point you made a couple minutes ago about how when you were listening to this when you were younger, how blown away you were by the jaw-dropping musicality of it, and then you listen to Frank today, and he's just as relevant. What's scary for me is that how as amazing as this is, his playing has even gotten better. Not a lot of times you see guys, these guitar legends in their 60s and older, not often you say, man, they are like leagues better now than they were back then. And back then they were leagues better than everybody else. I mean, would you say that after watching that 6-hour DVD?
Yeah,
I was speechless.
Frank was the first blues shredder, I think.
Yes.
I mean, he had a shred element that I've really carried with me in my own playing to his blues playing, like a psychedelic shred kind of vibe. And, happy to hear that he's incorporating more jazz stuff as the days are growing and he's maturing like a fine wine. So I'm anxious to hear all the stuff he was talking about. But this album, the Black Marino, for the single album, live outings, it's about as peerless as it gets on all fronts. And the improv, again, he talked about that in the interview yesterday, how they go off and it's like they have a structure and a skeleton, but within any song it gets very improvisational from night to night.
Yeah. He
so maybe certain songs don't have on that were in the set list because the show is so long. I don't know how he sang and played. that for the Agora 6 hours, man. I know we're jumping back and forth between albums.
Yeah.
And are you doing the double live Marino in the Wars?
Probably not, but we can talk about it now if you want. The Real Live, yeah, Real Live is great. Well, he's got a couple of them. There's the Real Live, and then there's the other one. I think from the early mid
Double
'80s.
Live Planet or something.
Yeah, I forget what it's. Yeah, I forget what it's called.
I mean, that's another one, and it has just different interpretations of some of the same songs on this, plus more that didn't make it on this, and it's a double album.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. He another thing I wanted to bring up that we did not touch on the interview is that it apparently was really, really cold in the Agora Theater the night they recorded the DVD. No. And Jeff, you probably can talk about this as being a performer yourself. I mean, how hard is it to play on a stage where either it's outdoors or indoors and it's really, really chilly? I mean, it's hard to get those fingers moving, right?
No, Kat, just the other night you saw the Purple Haze video. It's sunny here today, but it was a little more frigid the other night when we played this private party. And luckily there was a fire pit right next to me, big fire pit. And my buddy built a giant fire and started it right before we went on stage. So I was constantly, warming my hands and just being right next to it. And I made sure to put my pedal board and the amp, everything far enough away that I wasn't going to get into any kind of pyrotechnics that we didn't want to happen. But we were thinking and like begging the people to let us play inside the day before and the day of, but luckily the sun came out and we had a fire right beside us and we got through. But yeah, I can't, the Agora, it gets cold up there. So.
Yeah. So he had a lot of obstacles that evening, but anyway, we digress. I urge everybody to go and listen to the interview I did yesterday with Frank Marino. It's here on the channel. We'll put the link to the interview at the end of this video as well. But all right, so Jeff, we come down to the part of the episode where we each have to pick a favorite here. I think we know which way we're both going. I think I can probably speak for you here. I think the Mountain album is a very, very fine live album, but this episode is all about Frank Marino Mahogany Rush live, correct?
Honorable mention to Leslie West's always mountainous guitar tone.
Yeah, awesome.
On album and live, but Frank Marino,
different planet.
One of the best live guitar albums of any genre ever.
Yeah, I agree. So I think for me, I'm going to give this a 5th round KO. Frank Marino and company reigns supreme on this. If you have not heard this album, you need to do so immediately. There's nothing else I can tell you. Just go listen to it. It's great. It's a single that should have been a double, but as a single, it's one of the best singles of all time. And lethal. So there we have it. Frank Marino reigns supreme over Leslie West from Jeff and I. You may think differently.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall, right?
That's right.
He's a mountain of a man and a mountain of a tone, but Frank,
Yeah, it's Frank. Upper right-hand corner.
Frank all dang day.
Yeah. So you guys get to vote as well, right? So in the upper right-hand corner, you see that little white circle with the eye, and click on that. Vote for Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush. Vote for Mountain. Go on our Facebook page, vote there. In 6 days, we're going to cut off the votes, and the winner goes to round 2. And round 2 of our tournament begins in 2 weeks. So Jeff Young, thank you so much for joining us here, helping us finish off round 1. Okay, I'm pretty sure Jeff's going to be around for some episodes of round 2. So once I kind of get all the votes in and figure out who all of our winners are from round 1, I'm going to take a look at my spreadsheet, get the grid ready and all the matchups ready for round 2, and that'll start in 2 weeks. In between now and then, you'll probably see some top 10 song shows, some rants and things like that. I hope to be joining Jeff on Music Without Boundaries over the next couple of weeks once he's back in the New York area. And Jeff, any last words for our audience here?
Thank you very much for listening and watching. I'm still upset about the Scorpions Tokyo tapes, people. The top 10 live albums in the history of live albums, maybe top 5, but I'm looking forward to Pete's when you do your live albums, because I know that's going to fare pretty high up there.
Yeah, you can bet on that. Yep, you can bet on that. So
check
cool.
out In the Flesh. My new single, just dropped it last week. Hope you like it. Just trying to do a little heavy shredding, little punky, proggy metal stuff in there.
It's a great tune. Check it out, folks. Catchy as all hell. You'll love it. Great guitar solo too, Jeff, by the way. Love
Thank you.
Love it. Cool. Well,
Tried to
I
go
am Pete.
outside the box.
Yes. Well, you got to sometimes, right? You got to. All right, guys. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. And, of course, we're on YouTube every damn day. So thanks to JY. Also, I want to give a shout-out to Chris Allo, who joined us this weekend as well for some taping. And a big, huge thank you to Frank Marino himself for agreeing to come on the show and do an interview with us yesterday. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. For Jeff Young, I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you guys tomorrow with more Sea of Tranquility. Jeff, thanks again. Catch you on the flip side, buddy.
Peace.